I heard only a segment of what you were talking about with Abba.
Mm-hmm.
And basically it sounded like you were saying, hey, you were sitting on that side of the table. You should have said something when they were like with their crazy take or whatever. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I don't think you should have said anything. I think you guys, I mean, personally, I think you guys all believe that shit. So I thought you were within your rights to say whatever you wanted. But, I mean, that's just my perspective.
Well, I guess it's just interesting to me because, I mean, I didn't say anything. I didn't say a word during that entire segment about the whole injure and abuse thing. Like, so I don't know how to be responsible for something that somebody else said, you know? In the same way that, for example, Destiny, if Pixie or Aaron said some outlandish shit, and you sat there silently, I wouldn't say that you co-sign on it unless you explicitly say so yourself or agree.
I disagree. I think that's something I'm like super cognizant of when I'm on those shows, especially because Aaron was being crazy, and Pixie was saying some things I didn't agree with too. That's why, like, at the end of those segments, I was like very careful to come in and kind of like give my take so that it didn't seem like I was co-signing what they were saying. Like when I came in, I was like, well, I think that patriarchy is this particular thing, or like here's an example of how corporations maybe shouldn't be. Like I was pretty careful to separate myself so that the audience didn't get the impression that I agreed with them. But also, I think you know this. I think most people know this, right? Like if somebody was on your panel saying some wild shit, like that you obviously disagreed with, I think you'd probably fight back against it. But I think the issue is that, like, I think generally speaking, I think you probably roughly agree that like emotional abuse isn't a good reason to like leave a marriage or something. That's probably something you roughly agree with. That'd be my guess.
No, actually, I disagree.
Oh, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
But
What the fuck?
I don't believe you at all. But I mean,
what? But why do you think I'm like trying to do damage control? Like, I mean, here's the thing, I'm the host of the show. Sure. I bring on various people with different perspectives on things. There's things that I disagree with Chase, with MLD, with Mary, with you guys. I'm the host, I'm the moderator, and kind of one of the things that I do with the show is, hey, I just kind of sit back and let the conversation flow. And honestly, half the time I'm not gonna lie, I'm checked out of the conversation. Like I'm you saw me, I'm like going behind the scenes. There's some technical issues going on. I'm trying to keep tabs on super chats and TTS and all this stuff. And then I went off because I went away for like 10-20 minutes to lay down because I've been having chronic neck pain issues, and I have pretty bad like headaches and migraines. So I kind of just like let people talk, and yeah.
Okay.
But so I mean, I don't know how to like, you think that I agree with Chase and Destiny just because by proxy? Like just
well, no, because I feel like I've heard you like give takes. Like my guess is going to be, I'm going to start to fill in some blanks here, and I don't actually know, so I could be totally wrong. But like my guess is like you guys probably think that women are over exaggerating when they talk about abuse, or they've expanded like the definition of abuse to mean like anything, and that women aren't doing a good enough job to stick it out in rough marriages to try to fix it, especially for the take of the children. That women are largely abusive when it comes to things like divorce, where men are getting fucked. Like these are probably all beliefs that I imagine if I go through your show, either you or probably you directly have given like all these takes before. That'd be my guess. Do you think that'd be true if I were to start going through VODs and finding it?
Well, I mean, I think you just listed off 4 or 5 different things there, but
every single one of those things are things you probably agree with, right?
Well, here, list them again. List them again.
So you probably think that women make out really good in divorce, generally, yeah?
I would say women fare better in divorce than do men.
Okay, that's essentially restating what I'm saying, for sure. So women fare better in divorce. You probably think that most divorces, 60% plus, are women's fault, right?
I've never said that. I don't know who.
Were you the one on the show, or was it?
Sorry, I don't attribute fault necessarily to the man or the woman. What I do know is that women overwhelmingly initiate divorce. Who's at fault? I can't say.
Well, what would be the point of bringing up that women initiate divorce if you're not placing some blame on them?
What would be the point in saying that? I mean, well, my argument is, and this is where this is an example of where I differ from Chase. Is I'm not in favor of marriage.
But are you not in favor of marriage as an institution because you think it's bad, or are you not in favor because women abuse men with divorce?
Well, I think there's just such negative consequences typically that disproportionately fall on men when it comes to divorce, and that comes in the form of alimony payments. So
this is what I said earlier, that you think that generally like women make out better than men in divorce. That women were you the one that quoted that thing about 90% of divorces between educated people are initiated by college educated women?
So I think what I've said is 80% of divorces are initiated by women, and it's higher if she's college educated or if she's the breadwinner.
So
but let's get you were listing out
I'm just getting because that was gonna be the next thing. Have you ever used that 90% figure before? Because I think you did.
Well, I think I said it on the show that you were on.
Let's see. You probably think a lot of quote unquote abuse is exaggerated from women, I would guess, like especially when it comes to like emotional abuse.
I don't know. I think no. Well, look.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Truthfully, I don't know. I do think that there are instances where people claim that there's over exaggeration. I mean, you've probably seen that in your own life where people might over exaggerate a situation or make false claims about somebody to receive some sort of benefit. So, I don't think all abuse is over exaggerated.
Okay, but hold on. Boring. And perhaps everybody. Hold on. No. Wait. Hold on.
Understated.
That's a boring. Of course, not all. Those are like statements we make when we say, like, when you say things like that, it makes me think your actual opinion is way more radical than it might even be. Okay, if I say is something bad, and you're like, well, I'm sure.
Hold on. You think my position is radical? What do you mean?
Well, hold on, because when
you're assuming what my position is.
No, I am, but now I'm asking a bunch of questions, and I admitted that. I fully admit it, by the way. I'm assuming that this is probably your position. You probably roughly agree with most things that were said, and I'm asking you a bunch of questions.
No. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Yeah.
I don't roughly agree with most of the things that were said.
Okay.
Just because I sat there silently, in the same way that, for example, and it's interesting that, for example, some of the other girls. Look, if you silently. Not you, but if you put in the girl who was kind of being toxic towards you, and then Billy, and then Pixie, and then Aaron silently in that clip, where MLD is talking about you must endure. Why not attribute that same thing to them? Just because someone is sitting at that table and is not engaging in a particular conversational thread does not mean that they are co-signing. So it's a 5-hour conversation. I don't feel the need to agree or disagree with every single stance that is taken, especially as the host and the moderator.
Well, I mean, okay. I don't know what you want me to do about or what is
No, I'm not.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think you had Abba on the call, and you guys were like, well, he must clearly agree with I don't know exactly what you guys said.
Because obviously I think that. Like, I think if somebody on your side was saying things like black people are subhuman, I don't think you would just sit there and kind of like nod along. I think you'd be like, well, hold on. I don't think I agree with that. Right.
Well, but I think one of the issues, first off, with having as many people on the show as we did, we had 11 people on that panel, is it's pretty hard to get your voice in. I'm a soft-spoken guy. I'm fairly introverted. I'm not particularly loud.
Okay, hold on. You're literally the host. You were able to quiet the conversation multiple times. You have literally control over the show and can kick people out. I don't think you have problems.
Yeah, but I don't feel obliged to, at every instance someone says something that I disagree with, that I need to make it a point to clarify, well, I don't that I disagree with this, or I agree with this. I don't think that's necessary.
Okay. I mean, that can be an opinion you have. I think that most people would probably disagree.
Well, I think you're kind of bullying me into a position that I don't hold.
Oh, well, okay. I don't know what to say about that. If I'm on a show, if I'm on a show and then you are on their side, roughly speaking, right? You guys are like the red pillars, right? So if you're on their side and people on that side are making claims and they're all roughly in agreement with each other, well, then of course I'm going to assume that you're probably roughly in agreement with them. Like, I think it's pretty reasonable, right? That's why when I'm on those shows also, like, I'm trying to think very carefully, like when Aaron was fucking acting insane and even when Pixie was making arguments I don't agree with, I'm trying to think like, okay, what can I say when she finishes so that the audience clearly knows that I don't believe these things? Because if I don't say anything, I think it would have been fair for everybody to be like, oh, Destiny, especially because these are my friends, right? Well, if Aaron comes on and she starts getting super combative and Pixie's saying stuff about how all men are oppressed, Destiny must believe the same thing. I would expect everybody to think that. Well,
I disagree.
Okay, that's cool if you disagree, but you would be wrong, okay? Because people will absolutely come to that conclusion. Even if it's not right, people will come to that conclusion, right?
Oh, certainly. People may wrongly come to that conclusion, but if Aaron started saying some outlandish shit and you're on that side of the table, I would not say that you also share that exact same belief. Just because you opted to not agree or disagree with what she's saying.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but the vast majority of people would just assume that you're in agreement. Like, for instance, I would agree, and I might even be wrong on this, but I would probably say that, like, Fresh and Fit probably agree on, like, 99% of shit. That'd be my guess. Because, like, it's not like they have a contradiction on the show, but maybe that's not true. Maybe they actually have,
You mean Myron and Fresh?
What did I say? I said Fresh and Fit, right?
Okay, between the two of them.
Yeah. The Fresh and Fit, those two, I would assume they probably agree on almost everything because it's not like they're ever like calling each other out on their opinions. But maybe they don't. Maybe they actually do have a lot of disagreements. But most people are going to watch the show and assume it's called Fresh and Fit. They never argue with each other. They probably agree with like 95% of things, right? But also, keep in mind on the show, you literally didn't you literally ask me, like, did you guys plan for her to come in and troll like that? So I think you actually even did kind of assume that we were in on it, which we weren't. Also, to be clear, by the way, we got into an argument over that behavior. You saw it, yeah.
I appreciate that, Destiny.
All right, bye. Remember to hit that like and subscribe, and don't forget the notification bell so that my videos show up right in your feed.